Hello DP community, and welcome to another episode of Inner Space. Today we pick up exactly 1 year since the topic of Inner Space 4, namely City Skylines. My foray into CS was indeed so late that the software is about to begin its journey into obsolescence. City Skylines 2 is coming out in the fourth quarter this year, and wow, does it look fantastic. Feeling like someone who arrives at a party when coats are being returned to the guests, I really wanted to squeeze in one more go with the soon-to-be classic City Skylines. Last year's Groveland Heights project was my first and only experience with the game. The purpose of this second and final city was to explore new assets and new approaches to modeling a much larger city space. So please join me as I lead you on a virtual dawn till dusk visit of Bay City with its sprawling seacoast, rivers, and ample green space. Last year's Groveland Heights was a single-tile city with a population of 10K. I had to unlock 4 tiles for this project, but density-wise, Bay City is really a 3-tile city, home to a population of 30,000 residents. So everything I want to show you today is stuff that wasn't part of last year's city. We'll begin by visiting the college campus at 8 a.m. Then we'll head to Sunset Beach at 10 a.m. While there is plenty of coastline, my decision to develop a beach only in the eastern corner is tied to the city's water system. You see, fresh water is sourced in Riverside District and treated wastewater is dumped downstream near the Harbor District. So water pollution is higher along the western and central coastlines. At noon, we'll zoom in to Bay City Heights and its unique Roundabout Park. The latter is something I had never seen other CS creators explore, and it was probably my highest design priority. I really wanted to see it work. 2 p.m. seems like a good time to visit the Zoological Park. At 4 p.m. we'll head back to the coast to visit the harbor. Once there, it's an easy trip to the Bayview Commercial Plaza, and we'll end the day at Ocean Park, partly to enjoy the evening fireworks. Oh yes, 8 o'clock classes are a real thing. We're traveling on Shoreway Drive, which passes the front entrance of Bay College. You can see the campus up on the right. Right across the main entrance, on the left here, is a monorail station. Groveland Heights had a city university, which was just a large building that you plop down like any other common asset. But this campus add-on is like a game within a game. Campuses are designed and developed gradually. As the school levels up, more buildings become available. Although it does have 3 dormitory buildings, I'd say Bay College is on the smaller side, and its layout is no doubt influenced by the many urban campuses I've experienced in my own life. Varsity sports is a fun component of the campuses in City Skylines. The Bay College baseball team has a stadium, which isn't technically on campus, but is an easy 10-minute walk. There are actual games, and whenever the home team wins, the city is awarded cash, but after a loss, it seems the residents get pissed off and irritated. It's a perfect day to cut classes. From campus, we can walk to Powell Station and take the monorail along the coast right to the beach. Last year's city had only buses and the underground metro lines. Bay City has 2 parallel monorail lines. One servicing the coast, the Orange Line, and one servicing the inland neighborhoods, the Blue Line. Such beautiful weather today. We picked a good day for the visit. As usual, the beach is jumping. My vision for this beach was very clear from the outset. I used pedestrian zoning for the actual beach space. You can even rent a cabin here for a more rustic experience. The main strip, Beach Avenue, is the divider, with the hotels and shops set off on their own road, aptly named Hotel Drive. By the way, if you do visit Sunset Beach, I can recommend the Yuns Hotel. It's highly rated on TripAdvisor. Now the question is, where did this come from? Because normally what you see are hotels and shops lining the main strip. But I have scattered memories of a place like this where the main strip was conspicuously open, uncluttered, and all the hotels were set back on side streets. I can't be sure, but there might be some influence from my Florida spring break days. If you know of a real beach with a similar layout, please leave a comment. Bay City Heights is the largest and oldest district, for this is where the city began. You can see the World Highway connection at the bottom. While predominantly a residential community, it does have pockets of commercial and government buildings, such as the city's first public library and clinic. Bay City Heights and the bulk of its business sector are served by Main Street, running north-south, and Center Boulevard, running east-west. Today, there are plenty of low-density and high-density businesses, as well as high-rise condominiums. Bay City Heights is most famous for its huge Roundabout park. Roundabout space is traditionally decorated with grass, bushes, or the occasional statue, but Bay City converted this one to a bona fide park, complete with food stalls, restrooms, and playgrounds. It was the government's campaign to unveil the space as Lookout Park because the pedestrian walkway affords such impressive views of the city, even down to the coast. But many of the city's parents insist the real reason for the park's name is one has to be on constant lookout from all the surrounding traffic. In fact, the government already determined that drivers are more alert when driving on a roundabout, and the park has natural collision avoidance. Huge-ass rocks. So contrary to all the snarky moms, no one has ever been struck by a vehicle. At night, the park is usually home to teenage gatherings. No one under 20 calls this place Lookout Park. In their vernacular, it is affectionately known as Makeout Park. If you're on the eastern side of Bay City Heights, you're close to the city's Zoological Park. It's on the smaller side, but there are enough walking paths and animal exhibits to spend 90 minutes, 2 hours if you have lunch here. There are 3 facilities for which I didn't have enough space: elephants, sea life, and rhinos. But this condensed layout showcases what a nice asset the zoo park is. For example, I like the animal animations that are visible in the open enclosures. As we move to the main entrance on Center Boulevard, this first green building is the Monkey Palace. If I were to enter here, I think my natural inclination would be to do a clockwise walk, so I would first end up at the bison enclosure. Moose and reindeers. And then we have a little structure for tarsiers. And this large house is for insects, amphibians, and reptiles. I really like this giraffe enclosure, and it just so happened that the terrain was elevated here, so it ended up on a hill and it worked out. Flamingos. This is the side entrance on Lewis Street, which is right next to one of the Bay City Heights neighborhoods. And a rather large birdhouse, and right behind it, the antelope enclosure. It may seem counterintuitive, but when we're at street level, I often have no idea where I am. When you design and micromanage a world in games like SimCity or Cities Skylines, you are spending so much time in God mode, looking down upon the city space, that street level can feel like foreign land. For example, right now I'm not sure where we are, but I can tell you that we're driving to the harbor as the afternoon winds down. Constructing a harbor space had its pros and cons. First, it's quite lively, boosting the movement of both tourists and commercial goods. Bay City's harbor shares pedestrian zoning with the adjoining Bayview Plaza, so there's lots of foot traffic in this area. Visitors are drawn to the multi-level market hall. and to the magnificent observation tower. However, I'm not a fan of the sloppy ship animations. I hope that ship traffic behaves more realistically in Cities Skylines 2. The harbor also nearly destroyed the local road traffic. When I originally introduced the cargo port, there was a traditional road and street system in place. Nearly all of the offloading cargo vehicles would set off for this intersection, which then crippled the neighborhood's traffic. It was pretty bad. So bad, in fact, that I had to design a new service expressway just for the cargo port. You'll notice that Bayview Industrial Way is completely inaccessible to local area traffic. All cargo vehicles must use the service expressway and then drive to a later exit to access specific neighborhoods. In the real world, I suppose this would be a crazy expensive and outlandish traffic solution, but it was a solution that worked for Bay City. Traffic in this general area still tends to be heavy, but it's no longer dysfunctional. From the harbor, one can take a leisurely stroll into Bayview Plaza. Vehicle roads and streets give way to spacious sandstone walking paths that are lined with trees, art exhibits, shops, and modern rising buildings. This is probably the #1 regular destination for both residents and tourists. Bayview Plaza is the city's commercial and office epicenter, so people come here not only for work, but to enjoy the seaside, sunsets, and scattered attractions. For the city's elite, there are also a few luxury apartment towers with views well worth the rental costs. As you can see, there is a dedicated bus route servicing the entire plaza. There is also a monorail station on Shoreway Drive that serves both the plaza and the harbor. Bayview Plaza was designed for commuting, but for those who must drive in, there is a multi-level parking garage right across the entrance. Those screams you hear are the screams of thrill and fun at Ocean Park, which connects with Bayview Plaza. Indeed, Seaside is where it's at in Bay City. Ocean Park is effectively an extension of Bayview Plaza, so pedestrian traffic can, and often does, flow between these two sections. While the public is free to enter Ocean Park, as we're about to do now, the rides are not free. To get the most out of the park, one must pay at the main gate and get their hands stamped. Definitely pay the admission fee to enjoy the newest attraction, the Derrick Death Drop. Let's swing over to the main gate side and wrap our city tour from there.